Yu-Gi-Oh! A story of a boy named Yugimoto who solves the ancient millennium item called the Millennium Puzzle. Yugi awakens a 5,000-year-old spirit within his body and solves his complex using various games. Published as a manga series for Weekly Shonen Jump, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will later be known as the series that pioneered the trading card game Duel Monsters.
Dueling monsters?
Duel monsters, you Nimrod!
If you're a beginner and want to know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, then you're in the right place. My name is Alberto Comas, and as representative of Knowhere Toys, I'm here to teach you how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Before you start, you and your opponent will need to shuffle your decks, consisting of 40 or 60 cards. Place them in your deck arena and then place your Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, and Link monsters in your extras deck, which consists of 15 cards. If a player goes first, then they can draw on the first turn. Both you and your opponent will start out with 8,000 life points. In order to win, you will need to get your opponent's life points to 0. But if your life points reaches 0, then you lose. Very simple, right? Now in the duel area, you have 5 monster zones on the top to summon your monsters. In the lower area, you have 5 spell and trap zones to place in your spell and trap cards. Now if you notice in the right and left in your spell and trap zone, you see a red and blue diamonds. That's your pendulum zone, where you place your pendulum monsters, serving as both your monster and magic card, but we'll come back to that later. On the upper right of your area, you have your graveyard, or the GY, to place your diseased or destroyed cards, and above it, your banish zone, where the cards are no longer usable. On the upper left of your area, you have your field zone for your field spells. Now for your monsters. They're essential for your victory. In order to summon them, it will depend on the levels they have. If it's levels 1 to 4, you can be able to summon it. But if it's 5 to 6, it will require to tribute 1 monster to summon it. And if it's 7 or above, 2 tributes. When you summon your monster, you can either place them in attack position or set them face down. Monsters also have special abilities that can either be special summon, counter a monster's attack, spell, or trap cards, or even increase their attack points. They can activate when they're playing on the field, through your hand, or more often when it's flipped up. Now that you have your monster set up, you can now attack. When you attack, it will depend on how strong your monster is. If your monster is stronger than your opponent's, then you can destroy it and reduce your opponent's life points. And if there's nothing in your opponent's field, you can attack them directly equal to your monster's attack power. However, in the event that your monster attack is lower than your opponent's monster, then yours will be destroyed and you'll lose life points. Or if both monsters have equal attack points, then both monsters will be destroyed, but no life points will be gone. This is where your defense comes in. If your opponent's monsters are stronger than yours, then you can place them in defense position. When attack and defense, you don't lose any life points, but your monster does get destroyed if the defense is lower than the opponent's. Despite normal, tribute, and flip summoning, there are other special summons that can be used with the right cards. Starting with fusion summoning, to fuse your monsters, you will need to require monsters 2 or more and the magic card Polymerization. Once you do, you'll be able to fuse your monsters together in order to summon up your fusion monster. To ritual summon, you will need an active card or an effect that performs a ritual summon, usually through a ritual spell card. Once you tribute the required monsters is placed in, then you'll be able to summon up your ritual monster. For Synchro, you may need to synchro your monsters with 1 tuner monster and combine it with the levels of your monsters together. Afterwards, you'll be able to summon up your Synchro monster. To exceed summon, your monsters, 2 or more if required, needs to be at the exact same level to summon it. After it's summoned, your exceed monster will receive overlay units, depending on how many monsters you use to exceed summon, serving as a way to activate their special abilities. Now back to Pendulum. Once per turn during your main phase, if you have a card with a pendulum scale in each of their 2 pendulum zones, then you can pendulum summon any number of monsters from your hand and or any number of face-up pendulum monsters in your extras deck. To link summon, you will need to send your face-up monsters you control equal to the link monster's link rating to the graveyard as link materials. After that, the link monster is summoned in either in an extra monster zone or the main monster zone that a link monster on the field points to in attack position. In the game, not only will you need your monsters to win, you'll also need spell and trap cards. Spell cards have a single effect to provide a bonus to you or the weakness to your opponent. However, for trap cards, they are only activated during either player's turn, either when a spell card is activated or when your monster or your opponent's monsters attack. If you notice on the top right corner that says spell and trap cards, next to the name it has icons. Icons represents the type of spell or trap cards. For example, for continuous spells or traps, it's when a spell or trap card are placed into the field and will remain for the rest of the game until it gets destroyed. Counter traps are mainly used when either attacks activate special abilities or use spell cards. Equip spells are used to equip onto a monster for a power boost, or in some occasions when placed on a monster to decrease it or stop an opponent's attack power. Replay spells are used from their hand during any phase of your turn. And lastly, field spells have the advantage to be able to change the entire state of play for you or for both players on the side of the field. And there you have it. I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions, we'll be sure to answer you back very soon, alright? Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.